Hello everyone, I am Darshini, Assistant Professor of Mathematics. In the previous session, we have learnt about prime numbers and composite numbers. In this session, I am going to derive a theorem which exhibits one of the importance of prime numbers, which is well known as fundamental theorem of arithmetic or unique factorization theorem. Let's get in. Before proving the theorem, let us recall these two results which we have done in our earlier session. Any integer n greater than 1 has a prime factor. This we proved considering two cases. First, if n is a prime number, then n itself is a prime factor. Otherwise, n is a composite number, then the divisor, the smallest possible divisor, which is greater than 1, should be a prime factor. Next, if p divides q1, q2, etc. qn, where p, q1, q2, etc. qn are all prime numbers, then p should be equal to qk for some k between 1 and n. This is seen as a consequence of Euclid's lemma. Now let us prove fundamental theorem of arithmetic. Fundamental theorem of arithmetic. Any integer n greater than 1 can be expressed as a product of powers of prime numbers, which is unique up to rearrangement of terms. To prove this theorem, I am going to consider two cases. If n is a prime number, then this theorem holds trivially. If n is prime, then there is nothing to prove. Otherwise, n is a composite number. Otherwise, n greater than 1 is a composite number. So, n has a prime factor. So, n can be written as p1 into n1, where p1 is a prime number and n1 is greater than 1. Since n is a composite number, n1 should be greater than 1. Okay. Now, if n1 is a prime number, then we are through. Otherwise, n1 can be expressed as p2 into n2. If n1 is a prime number, then we are through. Otherwise, we can express n1 as p2 into n2, where p2 is a prime number and n2 is greater than 1. If I combine these two, I get here n is equal to p1 p2 into n2, where p1 p2 are prime numbers and n2 is greater than 1. Okay. Again, if n2 is a prime number, then we are through. Otherwise, we can continue this process. We can express n2 as p3 into n3 and so on. If you observe here, n is greater than n1. If you observe here, n1 is greater than n2. So, since n is greater than n1, greater than n2 and so on, this is a strictly decreasing sequence of positive integers greater than 1. So, this process will not go indefinitely. So, after finitely many steps, this process has to end. Since this is a decreasing sequence of positive integers, after some k steps, we should have n is equal to p1, p2, p3 and so on, pk minus 1 into nk minus 1, where nk minus 1 is a prime number. Where nk minus 1 is a prime number. Okay. If I denote nk minus 1 as pk, then we get here n equal to p1, p2, etc. pk. So, we have expressed n as a product of prime numbers. In this representation, some of the prime numbers might be identical. If we combine the like terms, we can express n as a product of powers of prime numbers. So, the first part is proved. Now we are going to show that this representation is unique up to rearrangement of terms. To prove the uniqueness, I consider two representation of n as a product of prime numbers. Let n be equal to p1, p2, etc. pr, which is same as q1, q2, etc. qs, where pi's and qis are prime numbers, where pi's and qis are prime numbers. Okay. So we are going to show that p1 equal to q1, p2 equal to q2, and so on. And we also have to show that r is equal to s. So without loss of generality, I am going to assume that p1 less than or equal to p2, less than or equal to, and so on, less than or equal to pr, and q1 less than or equal to q2, less than or equal to, etc., and so on, qs. To show that r equal to s, I am assuming the contrary. Suppose if r is not equal to s, then r should be less than s or r should be greater than s. So let us assume that r is less than s, and we arrive at a contradiction for this. First, we know that p1 divides this product. Since p1 is one of the term, we have p1 divides p1, p2, and so on into pr, which is same as this product q1, q2, and so on qs, q1, q2, and so on qs. Since p1, q1, q2, qs are all prime numbers, p1 should be equal to qk for some k. This implies p1 is equal to qk for some k between 1 and s. Between 1 and yes, okay. Now if you observe here, q1 is less than or equal to q2, and so on, less than or equal to qk. We have q1 less than or equal to qk, which is same as p1, and therefore q1 is less than or equal to p1. Let me take this as 1. Similarly, q1 divides this product. Now q1 divides q1, q2, etc. qs, which is same as p1, p2, etc. pr. Again, for the same reason, q1 should be equal to some pk for some k between 1 and r. This implies q1 is equal to pk for some k between 1 and r. Now again, p1 is less than or equal to p2, less than or equal to pk. Since p1 is less than or equal to pk, which is same as q1, we have p1 less than or equal to q1. Okay. Let me take this as 2. From 1 and 2, we have shown that p1 is equal to q1. Okay. If I cancel p1, q1 on both the sides, I get here, let me take this as star. So from star we have p1, p2, p3, etc. pr is same as q2, q3, etc. qs. If we continue this process, we can show that p2 equal to q2, p3 equal to q3, and so on. Similarly, we can show that p2 equal to q2, p3 equal to q3, and so on, pr equal to qr. Since r is less than s, so if we cancel p2, q2, p3, q3, and so on, pr, qr on both the sides, I get here from star, we have 1 is equal to qr plus 1, qr plus 2, and so on, qs, which is impossible as qr plus 1, qr plus 2, qs are all prime numbers. Product of prime numbers cannot be equal to 1. So this is a contradiction, which is not possible. So our assumption that r is less than s is wrong. And therefore we should have R equal to S. Here we have shown that the factors are identical. Since R equal to S, here we have same number of prime factors as that of this product, and therefore these two are identical.